these little rascals. There he is in my backyard. You see, after I turned him loose, how dependent he still is. I think he's got sort of used to the old man feeding him here. They really didn't go far when I turned them loose. They certainly knew where they had it made. There. Now, let's have a little reflection on there. Grab it and pull down, straight down, and go gently, gently across. Aren't those little squirrels cute? I raised about a half a dozen of them this year, and most of them we've turned loose now, and they're living out in my backyard and just having a good time. I still feed them every day, so they hang around. They hang around. And people come over to see me, and they go out in the backyard, and if they're not expecting it, it sort of scares you when this squirrel jumps on your shoulder out of the tree. But that's all right. People get used to it, and they certainly like them once they know they're not going to attack them. They like them. You can't hardly help but like one of them little rascals. Let's take some of our greens and yellows and all of those colors. I'm going to reach over here and get the least little touch of liquid white and put in there. I want that to be a little bit thinner and a little bit brighter, so I use liquid white rather than paint thinner, so it stands out from the stuff in the background there. Now we can come right up here with this brush, and that quick, we can just throw all kinds of little grassy things up here, little leafy things. There. See? Isn't that neat how that little brush just drops all those in? And that easy. I really like this little round brush. There. Now then, little bright red, little yellow ochre. We'll just play. Shoot. Let's have some nice little bush out here that really sparkles. Ooh, that's a nice one. Nice one. Nice one. That one will get your attention. A little one right here. Wherever. Just sort of look at them and decide where you think they should live and drop them in. There we go. That easy. Yeah, we can take a little touch of the liquid white on here. And then just very easy. Just put a little indication like that in. Maybe a little bit of Van Dyke brown there too, just to make it look like there's a little dirt there. There. And then let it just go right into that liquid white. And that's the simplest, easiest way there is of making the indication of a little bank without really doing nothing. Now we're just scratching a few little sticks and twigs and all those little things that live out there. Tell you what, why don't we bring the camera right up here? I'm gonna pull the contact paper off, and then we'll play some. This is the moment of truth right here. Phew, that looks pretty nice right there, just the way it is. Maybe we'll just quit. Nah, you know me. I've got to have a big tree over here on the other side. I get letters sometimes. People say, you did the most beautiful painting on TV the other day, and then you put that dumb tree in there. I get carried away with trees. But when you do them at home, if you don't want a tree in there, please don't put one in. The only thing I'm doing is showing you ideas. And by showing you ideas, I hope I spark your imagination and you come up with many, many more ideas than I've ever had. And that's when painting really becomes fun. It's when it's your own creation. It's not just something you're copying that somebody else did. We really are not trying to teach you how to copy. We're trying to teach you a method of painting, a style of painting, a technique, and then turn you loose on the world. Because once you have this, you can paint anything. Anything. You just need a little vision in your mind. Practice visualizing paintings in your mind. There we go. We'll have a tree right over here. Shoot, maybe it comes right on down here. I don't know, wherever you want. There's a little bush. We'll let it wander right on out to about there. Something like so. You decide when you do yours. Now then. There we go. Let's grab an old fan brush here, fill it full of Van Dyke Brown, a little dark sienna. We just mix them together on the brush. And let's put an old tree trunk up in there. This is an old gnarly tree. It's got a lot of wiggles and jiggles and all kinds of little things in it. There's another arm on it. I'd make a big slingshot. Nice tree. There's his little foots. Okay. Take a little white, a little dark sienna, mix them together. Get our little roll of paint, and let's just put the indication here and there of a little highlight on this tree. There. Doom. Just let that just sort of float right down the tree, allowing it to break. Barely touching. Just barely touching. And that old rascal will just jump right out there at you. Something like that. Take a little touch of the Prussian blue, a little white, put on the other side here, just to give the indication of a little reflected light. Go right back into that dark color and over the top of it gently, and I'm not kidding, when this is dry, it'll look and feel like real bark. You'll absolutely be amazed at how real it looks. I'm gonna put a bunch of leaves on there, so we don't need many limbs. We'll put a couple. Don't want too many. Maybe there's one that comes all the way out there. We don't care. There. Now then, back to our little round brush. Get a little bit of the color. I'm gonna have some more sap green in there. Ooh, that's nice. Let's go up in here. And let's just put in a few leaves on this tree. Just a few old leaves that sparkle and play and have a good time. There they go. Let some of them go on out here past the dark. And it makes sort of an interesting effect. Like that. There we are. Wherever. Now then, I'm gonna add a little touch of the bright red. And let's just come down here and bounce in a few little bushes, and shoot, we'll have a finished painting. Hope you've enjoyed this one, because I certainly like these little paintings. These ovals, as I say, maybe one of the neatest things that we've ever come up with. As I travel around the country now, I see them all over. There. Let that just wander right on back. Okay, maybe a few little things back in here behind the tree. Leave some of these dark areas. They'll make nice things in there. Okay, take the knife, scrape in a stick and a twig. Shoot, you got a finished painting. I think we'll call that one done. Hope you've enjoyed it. And from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend.
Well, hello. Welcome to the third Joy of Painting series. I'm Bob Ross, and I'll be your host for the next 13 weeks as we experience this fantastic wet-on-wet painting technique. In the next few weeks, we'll show you how to make fantastic pictures here using only 12 colors, an almighty brush, and a great big palette knife. So, I've already covered the canvas with a thin layer of magic white, and then we just blend it out with long horizontal and vertical strokes, like so. This just assures a nice even distribution of magic white all the way across the canvas. So while I'm washing the brush here, I'm going to get them to graphically run the 12 colors that I use across the screen. These colors will come across your screen in the same order that I have them on the palette, starting with titanium white and working around. So let me clean the brush and we'll get started here. We clean our brushes with odorless paint thinner. go. And just beat the bristles dry. Today, let's start out with a tiny little bit of Indian yellow. And we'll go right in here and just lay on a little bit of color. Just like so. Then we'll go right into some alizarin crimson and pull a little bit of paint out and beat it into your bristles so it's nice and even. And we'll put just a tiny bit of alizarin crimson here. And we do this making little crisscross strokes or X strokes, just back and forth. There we go. And just let it blend right down into the yellow. Okay. Now up here on the top, let's go into a tiny bit of Prussian blue. Now Prussian blue is very, very strong. Be careful with it. And right across the very top, still making the little crisscross strokes, we'll just lay in a little bit of Prussian blue. And while we have the brush dirty, let's take a little bit of blue and add us a little tiny bit of water right here. And you pull from the outside in and leave this area open. We want it to show when we're finished. There we go. And continually your color is mixing with the magic white and it blends. It makes very soft, nice, gentle colors. Okay. Now, let's take a clean, dry brush and just blend all this together. She's still making the little crisscross strokes. And then we'll hypnotize it gently. Down here, all the way across. The yellow will still remain on the canvas. And if it happens to touch the blue, it'll just turn green, which is very nice for water, so we can get away with it today. Okay. Let's start out with a little bit of Van Dyke brown. We'll take a small amount of brown, and we'll go right up in here, and let's put in an almighty mountain. There. Just let this mountain flow right off your knife. And we're really pushing this paint into the canvas. We want to push it right into the fabric if possible. Maybe another little bump right there. Okay. Now with a large brush, we can very gently pull this down a little bit. This removes excess paint and allows your mountain to get lighter on the bottom. Just pull it down. All we're worried about is a nice outside edge. We could care less what's happening inside right now. So let's take a little bit of Van Dyke brown and burnt umber mixed together. Just mix it right here on the palette. And we just touch and follow the angles in the mountain. We'll do a nice brown mountain today. There. Just let the paint flow right off your knife. Right over here, maybe a little light strikes. And we can take a little bit of white and begin adding to it to really put some nice little highlights on this mountain. There we go. And this is your world, so let your imagination take you wherever you want to go. Burnt umber and Van Dyke brown just mixed together. A little bit of the highlight color. Now let's take a little bit of Van Dyke brown with a touch of alizarin crimson in it. And with that, we'll put some shadows right in here. Just a tiny bit of crimson, so when we highlight the shadow color, it'll sparkle. And a little bit right over in here. Just very basic, quiet little mountains that are way back in the background. A little bit of highlight over here in the shadow. Okay, now we can take a clean, dry brush, and all we're going to do is begin tapping this bottom at first. Just tap it, and then lift upward. We want to pick up some of the yellow that's underneath here. There we go. Just follow the angles that you have in the mountain. We'll add a tiny bit more of the yellow onto the brush here. Just want this mountain to softly, softly disappear. Always follow your angles. There. Okay, and that's super quick, nice little way to make a happy little mountain that's way back in the distance. Okay, now let's take, first of all, and clean us up a space so we have somewhere to work. Put some sap green, Prussian blue, and Van Dyke brown. Just mix all these together, make a very nice dark color. There we go. Now, let's take the fan brush and fill it full of paint. Just pull it through the paint and fill it up. A lot of paint in the bristles. And we'll use it like so. Just touch and go down. We're going to make some indication of some little evergreens that are way back in the distance, far, far away. We don't want much detail back here. They're too far away. We want to show distance. Just let them work right down like so. Okay, maybe there's one who lives right here. Just wherever you think there should be a tree, you just drop one in. We're not looking for detail. There we go. Just let these rascals fall in. Now, one thing I should mention for the people who are joining us for the first time, the paint we use is very dry and very firm in comparison to most oil paints. You need a very firm paint, one of our golden rules here. A thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So we start with the thickest possible paint we can find. Then we can put layers of thin paint on top of it. Same color, just adding some ground down here. There we go. Just good dark color. One of the golden rules. You need dark in order to show light. So here we're just applying our dark color. And watch how easy reflections are. They used to drive me crazy when I was a traditional painter, but watch right up here. All you do is touch and pull down. Because the canvas is wet, you can make beautiful, beautiful reflections. This simple. Just touching and pulling down. There we go. And then gently go across. Makes it look just like water. And maybe, way back in the background back here, maybe there's a little waterfall back here that feeds this lake. So touch titanium white, just touch it and come straight down. And then we want it to splash a little as it hits the water down here, just a little. There we go. Now, let's take a little bit of magic white, a little cad yellow, and maybe some sap green. And just load this fan brush full. And we can begin putting some highlights back here. Touch, push that brush so it bends upward. There. And you can make these as bright or as dull as you want them. If you want to show a lot of sunlight back here, use a lot of the yellow color. If it's a quiet, far away, maybe you want to have it much duller in color. There we go. Maybe there's a little projection that lives right out here, so we just drop it in. It's your projection. You can put it anywhere you want it. Okay. Maybe there's another one over here. It just comes right out like this. Okay. Now we can take and gently pull a little bit of this down, just so you have a little of that reflection into the water. Go across. Now, let's take the knife, a little bit of magic white, pull it out very flat and cut across it so we can do a very sharp, small little line back here, just to show a little water line. There. There it is. See, I told you that was easy. And this is a very, very free form of painting. We do no tracings, no drawings. We just sort of let these flow right out of our heart. Now, maybe as we get a little closer, the evergreens get a little bigger. So, still using the fan brush, I'll go right there. Evergreen lives there. Corner the brush, and we just begin making a nice little evergreen. Just sort of go back and forth with your brush. Make all the little limbs that hang there. And we'll highlight this little tree, so all we're looking for here is a nice background. Maybe. There's one right here. You know, trees get lonely too, so they need trees.
Domination. Eyes up. System's hot. We're not here for a tour. We're losing Charlie.
Please highlight the right side of the tree since your gun is showing. If you're right-handed, highlight things.
taking C.
Start right at the top. Use it. Work down this way.
We're losing Charlie. Enemy UAV detected. Locking down Bravo. They're taking C. B secure. Hunter-killers inbound on your grid.
Leave trees. Big trees here, so let's use the big brush.
Bravo lost.
And just again.
Hostile UAV established above.
Just come right up. Maybe there's a little fence. So just now while we got the dirty brush up here, let's put a few little reflections.
We're losing Charlie.
Just like
Underway on Bravo.
reflections.
Enemy UAV detected. All zones lost. Taking A.
Some can yellow.
Alpha secure.
Sand green. Magic white at the end.
We're losing Alpha.
Aggressive. Touch.
Enemy CUAV established overhead.
Needed to make all those
Losing A.
leaves here.
We've lost all
Yeah,
zones.
sort of working
Objective
hand.
control
This tree
securing
has
C.
some shape to it. Just don't know how that tree.
Heads up. Enemy HKD drop detected.
There's another happy.
Hostile UAV established above. There's a watchdog helo headed your way. Securing Charlie.
Sometimes you can have just a
Taking B. Securing Alpha. Zone captured.
layer he wishes it gives depth to your painting. It sort of reminds me. Because you have some
Securing B.
and we'll do the back even.
Taking C. Bravo zone
Other side
secure.
of the cabin.
Skewer incoming. Eyes on skewer.
This side. So,
Losing B. Enemy UAV detected.
buildings. Really gonna try to do something.
All zones lost. Locking down Bravo. You're losing. Switch it up. Locking down Charlie. Hostile police secure. Hostile UAV established above.
Put a lot more detail into it. Here, if we go over 30 minutes, the yellow lines. So, there we go. Now, maybe these logs go in this direction. Just want to show you how to do it. As I say, at home you have unlimited time and you can put a tremendous amount of detail into these paintings. Now, on this side, we want it to be a little darker. Here, we just put a little indication. If you had a cabin, you'd need a little door to get inside. And it's just straight bright.
Enemy UAV detected. Hard
Yeah.
point. The guild is hiding something. Let's pick that shit up.
Cabins, you put them wherever you want.
Hard point identified. Hard point active. Contesting hard point.
With a large brush, you can touch just a tiny bit to the reflection.
Hard point contested.
Across.
Got the hard point.
I like
The field took the hard point.
Fantastic. Maybe there's a little color in the roof. I only have just a tiny bit of permanent gray.
Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint contested. Hardpoint is active. Got the hardpoint. Hostile counter UAV above. Game fixed. Enemy LDBR inbound.
Just pushing some grass.
The field took the hardpoint. Hostile UAV established above. Enemy CUAV established overhead. Enemy UAV detected.
Into that right up through here. Let's
Hardpoint located. Hostile UAV established above. Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked down.
just let that. Van Dyke's a very nice chocolate. Beautiful.
Contesting hardpoint. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Okay, put the dirt in
Positive
first.
idea.
Then we can.
Enemy UAV detected.
Now, you know, a cabin like this, you have to have a way to get to it. So let's have a little.
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint contested. Hostile UAV established above. Contesting hardpoint. Hardpoint is active.
Trades. See how much distance.
Enemy
it
UAV
creates. Pushes
detected.
everything back. Just like so.
Enemy signature.
There we
Trace
The
success.
field took the hardpoint.
go.
Hardpoint contested. Hardpoint locked down.
Updating target.
Little edge of the
Hardpoint located.
there. One little piece.
Hostile LDBR drop detected. Hostile counter UAV above. Hardpoint active. Hostiles have the hardpoint. Got the hardpoint. Contesting hardpoint. The field took the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down.
Just like that.
Hostile UAV
I'm gonna
established
use just a
above.
clean knife and cut a few little sticks and twigs.
Subject.
And some sticks.
Stunning down.
Now let's take that.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
So I like these big trees.
Got the hardpoint.
Most emphasis on the outside of the trees. As it goes down the tree,
Hardpoint identified.
start at the dark.
Hardpoint is active. Hardpoint locked down.
Door. brush. And we're going to take it.
Hardpoint contested.
So thin the paint out. A lot of paint to the brush. Just really thin.
Sundown, front. Sighted home.
Got the hardpoint. Hardpoint located.
Fantastic effect in one stroke. Remember to put the lighter side
Hardpoint
real
active.
heavy. There's a
Hardpoint
huge
locked
tree,
down.
big pine tree. Lives right here.
Flashbang going out.
Right through the cabin. Some little foots out here. And darken it. Woody tree.
Testing hardpoint. Hostile got the hardpoint.
Work here. Little fixes.
Enemy resupply disrupted.
Got the hardpoint.
Okay, now let's take another 1-inch brush. Go right into the center.
Got the advantage. Now we have to keep it. Hardpoint identified.
Very dark. Once again, let it a tiny bit. Just thin it down. A lot of paint.
Hardpoint is active.
Here.
Hardpoint locked down.
Enemy mark.
They're on the ropes. Don't let them fucking breathe.
Okay. Now we can go right into a little
Enemy
bit
UAV detected.
and a touch of sap to highlight it. Just oranges on the right. That's some highlights and all the beautiful leaves that you've done.
Hardpoint located. Clean work. No leaks. Damn, I think I might be impressed.
We got what we needed. All units, fade.
And if you wanted to, you could take it just to thin the paint down.
Stacking body.
Okay. Now back to our fan brush, and we go back into this yellow. A little bit of yellow ochre, and let's work on his foots down here. Let's just put some grass right down here and cut the tree off wherever we want it. It's your tree, you can cut him anywhere you want him. And maybe there's a few little sticks that hang out over the bank, just here and there. And I'm just using the point of the knife here. Okay. Well, I think we about had this painting ready to sign. So let's take a little bit of paint thinner, or you can use a thin oil if you'd like. A thin oil probably works a little bit better. It works a little smoother. A little paint thinner, and we're going to mix this till it's like water. Very, very loose. Then turn this fan brush, or this liner brush, I'm sorry, you caught me. Turn this liner brush to bring it to a nice sharp point. And let's go right up in here and sign. The paint's very, very thin, it's almost like water. And with that, you can literally just write your name. R-O-S-S, that's what it is. There we go. Next week, we hope you're here with us. Have a big glass of iced tea ready. Got your canvas set up. And we're going to do a black canvas. We'll do a happy little seascape and show you how to, very simply, do a seascape that's effective, a lot of fun. We'll be looking forward to seeing you. Until next time, we'd like to wish you happy painting.
Hard point. Secure the objective.
Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad to see you today. Thought today we'd do the little painting that you see at the opening of each show. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what I got up here. I have my standard old canvas. This is a double prime pre-stretched canvas, and I'm using an 18 by 24, but you use whatever size is convenient. And I've just covered the entire canvas with a little bit of liquid white, that's all. Just liquid white. And with that, let's have some fun. I'm gonna start with Prussian blue, old 2-inch brush. Prussian blue, so very strong blue. I like Prussian blue. Okay, let's go up in here. We start up here in the corner and we just make little X's or little crisscross strokes. Something about like that. Now this will not be an exact duplicate of what you see at the beginning of the show, but it'll give you an idea of how it was made. There we are. Because we have no patterns, we use no tracings, no drawings, so nothing ever comes out exactly the same. But as I say, once again, it'll show you how it was made, and when you create your own, you add anything or subtract anything from it that you want. There we are. We'll just bring it on down about like that, wherever you want it. Okay, I'm gonna go right into some midnight black. I want to darken these corners. I'm darkening this because this little painting has a lot of clouds in it, and I want them to stand out. So the way to make them look brighter is to make the sky darker. Makes sense, doesn't it? There we are. Okay. And down here we can just wipe off the brush, because it won't hurt anything. That gets it pretty clean. Now then, I have several of these old brushes going, so I don't have to spend all my time washing brushes. Let's go into some titanium white. Just tap the brush or wipe it, it doesn't matter. Just get some paint on it here. And let's go up in here. And let's just take and begin tapping this. Just tap it, like so. Let me get a little more color on the brush. There. And all we're looking for here is very basic shapes. We're not looking for any detail at all. Just let that blend right on out. Something about like that. There. All right, a little more of the titanium white. Another little cloud right here. And you put as many clouds in your world as you want. As many as you want. Or as few. Maybe you don't want any clouds in your world. It's up to you. Up to you. Totally and completely. That's what I like about painting. It gives you freedom. You can experience any world that you want. You can put any dream here that you can conceive. All right. Something about like that. But all we're doing is just putting in some basic little shapes. We really don't care. We're going to take the blender brush in a minute here and just blend these out. And because the canvas is wet up here, you can literally move color. You can make it slide right on the canvas. Well, we had a sky full of clouds here. Maybe, yeah, why not right there? Something about like that. Let that blend right on out to nothing. Wherever. All right, let's get our little blender brush. These little blender brushes are very, very soft. As my father used to say, they're tender as a mother's love. There we are. There. And in my case, that was certainly true. I'm very prejudiced, but I think I had the greatest mother there was. Beautiful, beautiful lady. And I hope she's watching now. There. Just see how you fluff that up with that little blender? It just goes right over. Right over. There. Okay. And once again, in your world, you decide how many clouds live in it, or how few. And that's basically all there is to making a lot of clouds very quickly. Okay, we'll wash the old blender brush off. And I'll wash it the same way. A little paint thinner in there. It's not as much fun to beat that one, though. Didn't make near the mess. With a little blender, I normally wipe it on a paper towel or a clean rag afterwards, because you want it as dry as possible. Go take some black, some Prussian blue, a little brown, a little lizard crimson, whatever. Maybe a little more of that crimson. I like crimson. It's one of my favorite colors. All right, pull it out as flat as you can get it. cut across, get a little roll of paint. There you can see it, right on the edge of the knife. And we had a mountain in our world, and it lived right here. All we're looking for initially is the shape of the top here. That's really all we're looking for. We could care less what's happening elsewhere. We will later, but right now, that's all we're looking for. Right there. Just this nice outside edge up here. That's all. That's all. Very little paint. All we're doing is staining the canvas. There. Does not take a lot of paint. I'll put a little bump right there. See, just make a decision and drop it in. In your world, you have total and absolute power. Scrape it hard. You can probably hear that. Get in there and pull that paint off. You cannot get it all off. Don't worry about it. The only way you could get the canvas back to where you could paint another color is to wash it with paint thinner. Just rinse it off, which is okay. I do that frequently. If I don't care for a painting, I just wipe it off and take a little paint thinner, wipe down the canvas, let it dry. Now there'll be a stain on there still. But when you put your liquid white, black, clear, whatever on it, it's okay. You can paint right over it. Give it a few minutes to dry, though, after you take the paint thinner and wipe it down. All right. Something about like that. You know, one of the questions I hear over and over in the letters that we get from fantastic people all over the country is, can I use acrylics to do this? I wished you could. Acrylics, they're a fantastic medium, but they just dry too rapidly. This is a wet-on-wet technique. So we depend on it staying wet through the entire painting. If it doesn't, then we've defeated our purpose. Sorry to jump around like that. Just jump all over the canvas. There. Maybe here and there, we just blend up put a little titanium white on there. I want to create a misty effect down here at the base. And make that a little lighter, then we can go back, tap a little that mountain color in, and put the indication of some little things that are far away back in here, just by tapping. Just tapping. These are going to be the ones in the background when we're done, if everything works just right. There. I touched a little touch of cadmium yellow, very, very small amount, and it'll give it an instant green. It looks like little green things that are growing up the side of that mountain far away. Way back here. We don't even know how far back it is. Don't know that we even care. Many, many, many miles. All right, over here now, we can pull this one down. Just grab it and pull it. Pull it. We let it come right into that. There we go. And all I'm doing here is blending out the paint. I want to remove as much paint as possible so the next layer will stick easier. See, it's mixing with the liquid white, and automatically this beautiful mist will happen. You don't even have to think about it. It happens. There we go. So you can spend all your thinking time thinking about your painting. There. All right. Let's take titanium white and pull it out as flat as you can get it. See, just pull it out. Take the knife, go straight down on it. Just cut across, get a little roll of paint. And in our world, now, no pressure. No pressure. Just let this knife just bounce and play right down through there. And think, let's have the light coming from the right in this one. If you're right-handed, that's normally easier. Just think where light would strike and play here and let it go. Don't just try to copy. In your mind, decide where all these little highlights live in your mountains, because your mountains may be different than mine. They're probably much better. Just, there comes a little light. Just let it play. We had a little ridge right there. See, that's all there is to it. Mountains, to me, are one of the most fun and enjoyable things to paint. I love them. I love mountains. I think I've mentioned many times before, I lived in Alaska for a long time. And Alaska has some of the most gorgeous mountains that God has ever made. There we are. I think you could find enough material to paint there to last a lifetime. And if you don't have the good fortune of living in an area where there's all these beautiful, beautiful mountains, you can go to the library or anywhere and pick up books that show pictures. Art books have pictures in them. There's many, many ways you can find photographs or drawings of mountains that'll allow you to paint some if you want to. Maybe you want to do this without a mountain in it. And that's okay too. Okay, a little bit of this blue color, and I'm gonna go right back up in here and just begin adding in some shadows. Once again, this will not be an exact duplicate of what was on TV at the beginning of the show, but it will certainly show you how it was made. There, see there? All those things that happen there just by changing some angles. I'm gonna grab the small knife. It gets into these little places so much better sometime. There. Very gently, no pressure, no pressure. I can't say that enough times. I get letters every day that say I'm having trouble making the paint break or leave all these little holes. One of two things is happening. You're using a paint that's soft and it won't work, or chances are you're applying too much pressure. What I used to have students do when I was teaching every day, I'd have them practice on their palette until they could every time pull that paint across there and make it break. And the palette's made of plexiglass, so if you can make it break on the plexiglass, shoot, when you get to canvas, it's easy. I'm just tapping the bottom here. I want to blend this out a little bit. There. Following the angles, always following those angles. Now, sometimes we come from a camera that gives you sort of a funny angle. So if that happens, don't think your painting should look like it. We're coming from a different angle. Okay. That's a question I hear frequently is, I see you look to the side. What are you looking at over there? I have a television monitor that's right off camera, so I can see exactly what you're seeing. And then we have some of the most fantastic camera people in the business here. And they'll look at what I'm looking at, and between us, we'll turn everything so you can see it the best and get the best results at home. There we go. Taking a little of that, little Indian yellow, yellow ochre, and some of that bluish color I had on the brush, and that immediately will make a nice green. And we'll just sort of vary back and forth here some of these colors. Something about like that. And then lift it upward. Make it look like little trees that live far back here. Little tiny trees, little baby trees, but they're really big, but they just live far away. Far, far away. There we are. All right. I think I've mentioned in some of the previous shows that the program is now playing in Japan, and recently we sent a whole bunch of paintings, original Bob Ross paintings over, and they did a big exhibit, and hundreds of people came to see the paintings. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. There, a little bit right in there. All right. Time to have some fun. We'll take some Prussian blue, some black, some crimson, and then we'll put some sap green in there too. There we go. I'll mix up quite a bit of color, like that. I'm gonna clean the old knife. Let's make the little trees that were in the background. For that, there's a fan brush, and it's clean. Let's go right into this very dark color. This color should look black on your palette. But because of the Prussian blue, it'll be predominantly blue. Let's go up in here. And we'll have some little trees live right in here. All we're doing is just touching and tapping downward. That's all. That's all. Very, very simple. Don't make it complicated. When they start breaking apart like that, it means it's time to reload the brush. There. All right. Maybe they come right in there, wherever. And really the only thing you're concerned about is these nice tops. What's happening in here, you could care less at this point. Maybe later it'll become important. But at this point, we don't even care. Maybe we'll have these a little higher and drop down. Now sometimes people say mine look like fence posts. See, like that. They look like fence posts. The only thing that's wrong is you don't have enough. Just go back and fill them up. Because as you know, we don't make mistakes. In our world, we only have happy accidents. And very quickly, you learn to work with anything that happens on this canvas. Anything. And it takes the fear out of painting. You don't worry about it. Because for so long we've been taught that you had to be blessed by Michelangelo at birth. You couldn't paint. Now, you may not be able to paint like he did, but you can sure paint this way. There we go. Because this works. And we got trees all the way across. Sometimes it's fun. Take a little white, and you'll make it look like little tree trunks back here. Just take a little white and very gently grab that and lift upward. Just a little. Don't overdo. Don't overdo. Don't overdo it. Looks like little tree trunks far back in the distance. You can take the knife and also cut through it. And it'll give an effect that's very nice. Okay. Time to have more fun. Let's go into that dark color. This is predominantly black. And let's have maybe we'll have some big rocks right there. Predominantly black, though. There's some big rocks. All we're doing is filling in paint here. We could really do this with a paint roller. It doesn't matter how you put this on. Just want to cover the canvas. In fact, if I had thought a little bit, we could have done the bottom with black gesso, and this would have already been done. Or you could have used liquid black. The difference between liquid black and black gesso. Liquid black is an oil-based medium. It's designed to stay wet several days on a good canvas. Black gesso is an acrylic base. It's designed to dry very rapidly. It's for when you want to work on a dry surface. Liquid black is when you want to work on a wet surface. So it just depends on your mood. There. Both mediums have their own characteristics and they're both neat. There we are. Something about like that. All we're doing is just covering it up. Now then, gonna make a little black, a little white, make a gray color. Well, there's a little touch of blue in there too. Okay, black, white, little touch of blue then. Whatever happens. Pull it out like so, but it's marbled. We haven't overmixed it. A little roll of paint on the knife. And let's go right up in here and begin just putting the indication of all these little rocks and stones. Let me stand over here. Just let the knife touch and sort of bounce along there. Don't overdo. Don't overdo. Just let it bounce. Let it bounce and play. Change the angle so some of them look different. This is far away. We don't know what it is. About like that. And I want to get darker and darker down here toward the base. So it gives the impression that more light's hitting the top than down here at the bottom. That's all there is to it. Okay. Let's build us a tree, or two, or three. For that, I think I'll use a little oval brush today. It's easy to distinguish. It has a black handle. The rest of them all have white handles. All right. We had a big tree in our world, and it lived right there. Touch, make a little line, and we start just like we do with the fan brush, using just the corner. Just the corner. And on this brush, once we get down, though, we go straight in, and it makes those gorgeous, gorgeous hanging downs that you see on evergreen trees. In some parts of the country, the limbs hang down really low. They really hang down. In other parts of the country, they stick straighter out. So it just depends, I think, on where the tree lives. Maybe it has to do with water. I don't know. Sunlight. Don't know. There we go. Another little tree there. Go right into some yellow. Just take same old brush, go into yellow ochre, cad yellow, to make a green, and then very lightly. We said our highlight was coming from the right side. I'm gonna add a little liquid white. make it a little thinner. Our highlights are coming from the right, lights coming from the right. So that's where we want to put the most emphasis. There, let it get darker and darker down toward the bottom until it just disappears. There we go, something about like that. But darker and darker toward the base, that's important. It's most important. All right, we had a little house in there. Little house lived right here. So all you do is touch and begin scraping out a basic shape. Our little house looks something like that. Scrape off all that excess color. Let's get in there and scrape it off. We use a little bit of the Van Dyke Brown Dark Sienna mixed together. Let's just fill it in. Just fill it in. It's a little like a lean-to on the side of this house. There. Van Dyke Brown Dark Sienna mixed together. That's all there is to it. See, just all we're doing is blocking it in at this point. Now we'll take the brown, put some bright red in it, little white. And for that, we come back up here and we'll just put in a little roof. There. Well, wouldn't this be a gorgeous, gorgeous place to live? Look out over all these beautiful mountains and trees. I'd like to have this cabin. Take a little lighter color and just highlight it a little so this edge stands out. Just a little, like that. And we go back to our brown and whites. And let's put in a touch of little highlights right there. Something about like that. Over here on the side, I'm going to add a little bit of that Prussian blue. I want it to look more like it's in shadow. There, maybe even a little darker than that. Oh yeah, that's much better. I want that to be dark. Little Van Dyke Brown and just touch. Make it look like old boards, slabs, whatever you want to call them. And we need a door in our cabin. This old guy had to have a way to get in there. Shoot. Cut across. A little bit of the light color just to outline the door a little. Wipe off the old knife here. Tell you what, let me go back to an old 2-inch brush. Dip it in a little bit of the liquid white. Go into a little bit of my yellows. We had a little grass around the bottom of this cabin. So we use all the colors here, the yellows, a little touch of red once in a while. Here it comes. But this paint has to be quite thin because we have so much paint already on the canvas. Each layer of paint needs to get thinner and thinner. There we go. Just tapping. We need a path. Gotta have a path. No way to get up in here. Take a little bit of that brown color. I want it brighter than that. I can't make that out. A little dark sienna in there, a little bright red. There. He may come home a little impaired, and he needs a path he can see when he comes in here. Can't ever tell. That happens sometimes. Little sap green. Here we go. Now you just begin deciding where everything lives in here. About like that. Want to make this look like a little hill here. Shoot, maybe it comes all the way up in here. Something about like that. Wherever in your world, you decide. You decide. A little black, a little white. Maybe there's just an indication here and there of a little stone and a rock that lives in there. And that's basically how we did that little painting. Scratch in a stick and a twig. Shoot, you finished. Hope you've enjoyed this one. As I say, it'll show you how the little opening was made. So from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today, because today I'm going to do something that's very unique. I think you'll enjoy it. Let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you will need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what I've got going up here today. Today I've taken our regular old canvas, pre-stretched double prime canvas, and I've painted it with black gesso. I've allowed the black gesso to dry completely, and then I've covered the entire canvas with a very thin coat of liquid clear. Little amount. It doesn't take much. Then I put a little bit of Prussian blue over it. Today I want to show you how to make an exciting effect on the canvas, and then I'll change and put up a canvas that's already done, and we'll continue on and paint a happy little painting. So let's do that. As I say, I've got this covered with liquid clear and a little bit of Prussian blue. I want a blue hue to this. I'm going to dip my brush into paint thinner. I'm going to go into a little bit of brown. This is just a little bit of dark sienna. Little brown, little blue. But notice how thin the paint is. Now, paint thinner has a violent reaction with liquid clear, and we're depending on that to create some gorgeous effects. Okay, let's go up in here. As I say, this is very thin, and once it hits this liquid clear, gorgeous things will happen. And we'll just do something about like that. It'll continue to work, sometimes maybe 15, 20 minutes. That's why we're going to change canvases, so it has time to work and dry. But I want to show you how it's made. But by just taking this brush and doing something like so, get nervous. You can make some of the most gorgeous effects you've ever seen. That easy. There, see, just let these colors play and dance, and maybe they come around. Can make big old things that look like wood with big knots in them. It's up to you. You decide what kind of design you want. There. Take a little white here and there, but it must be very thin, have a lot of paint thinner, so that all these gorgeous little things will happen for you automatically. See them? Look at that. Already, they're beginning to work. As I say, the paint thinner and liquid clear will have a violent reaction, and you can turn the brush to make effects. Just let it dance around on the canvas. And if you don't like one, you can come back and go over it and change it, because, as you know, this piece of canvas is your world, and you can do anything that you want to do here. There we are. Something about like it. The blue underneath is being picked up, and it will create a blue hue to the whole painting. There. And as I say, you can go back and forth and add color anywhere that you want it, and just change this continually. There. But that's basically all there is to it. You can just take paint thinner and go back over this just with plain paint thinner, and it'll really cause it to separate. Experiment a little bit when you're at home, and you'll find many different ways of doing this, and use a multitude of colors. Don't just use the colors that we use here on TV. Use any color that your heart desires. There. But see how that's beginning to create all those beautiful illusions? Now then, as I mentioned, I want to change canvases and put one up that's already dry. And to do that, let me just reach up here. Excuse me just a second. Reach right up here. Take this one off. And I have one here that's already been done. And I've put a little bit of contact paper around it, just leaving a section open. And I'll show you how you can take this and make a gorgeous painting that's very simple and very easy. Anybody can do it. All right. Now, once again, this is dry. I've allowed it to dry, and you might want to lay it flat while it's drying, depending on how much thinner you put on the canvas when you're producing the effect. All right. Now, let's start off, and we're going to cover all of this with just liquid white, just like we would on a regular painting. Just cover it. Normally, I have this done when we come on the air, but I wanted you to see this from start to finish so you can make your own masterpiece at home. There. Just a very thin little coat of liquid white, just enough to sort of cover it up. About like that. That's all we're looking for. There. That's all there is to putting liquid white on a canvas. Okay, now we get to wash the brush. And if you've painted with me before, you know that's my most favorite thing on here, is washing the old brush. Actually, it's my way of getting even with the crew for picking on me. All right, shake off the excess. And just beat the devil out of it. And you can cover everything in in about a 10-foot radius if you're not careful. Okay, let's go into a little bit of alizarin crimson, just a small amount on the 2-inch brush. The painting I'm going to do today let's just do a very simple little painting, easy little painting, because it's really the background that I want you to practice with and try and fall in love with, because it is so much fun. I'm going to put a little alizarin crimson right there. Like that. We'll go right into a little the Prussian blue.